In this video, we're going to look at the organ we use to detect sound, the ear. We're going to look at the three parts of the ear, the outer ear, the middle ear, the inner ear. I'll then spend a little bit of time going into a bit more detail on the cochlea, as well as the energy transformations that occur as the sound wave enters our ear. Okay, so the ear can be broken into three sections. We have the outer ear, the middle ear, and the inner ear. And I'll go through these sections in a bit more detail now. The outer ear consists of the pinna, being the part on the outside of the ear that you can see, the auditory canal or auditory meatus, being the hole in the pinna that penetrates through the skull, and the sound wave travels down until we get to the tympanic membrane or the eardrum. Now, the tympanic membrane is the border between the outer ear and the middle ear, and the sound wave, the compression waves, cause the tympanic membrane to vibrate. As that tympanic membrane vibrates, it causes the ocelles, which are three small bones inside the ear, to vibrate. So the first one that vibrates is the malleus, then the incus, then the stapes, so the three small bones, and their job is to mechanically amplify the size of the waves. So it's basically a lever system which causes the waves to amplify and be bigger. The stapes is pressed up against the oval window, and the oval window is the border between the middle ear and the inner ear. The other part of the middle ear is the eustachian tube. And the eustachian tube goes from the cavity in the middle ear through to the nasal cavity. Its job is to maintain a constant pressure between the middle ear and the outer ear so that the eardrum does not burst. The inner ear consists of the cochlea, which is on the other side of the oval window. The stapes vibrating on the oval window causes the fluid inside the cochlea to also vibrate and produce fluid mechanical waves, which penetrate through the snail-shaped cochlea. These turn the mechanical wave into an electrical impulse, and this electrical impulse is sent to the brain via the optic nerve for interpretation. The inner ear also contains three semicircular canals, and their job is to detect movement as well as the position of the head and control the balance in the body. So the cochlea, as I said, is in the inner ear and it's filled with fluid. As the stapes pushes on the oval window, it creates waves in the fluid, so fluid mechanic waves, and they penetrate inside the cochlea. The waves of high frequency only penetrate a small amount, while the waves of a lower frequency penetrate much further into the cochlea. And this is how we hear different frequencies. It's how far that wave penetrates the cochlea. Now, running down the center of the cochlea, we have a part called the organ of Corti. And the organ of Corti has a whole heap of tiny little hairs on it. And what happens is as those hairs get brushed over with the wave, they turn the fluid impulse or the fluid wave into an electrical impulse, so an electrical energy. What I'll do now is go through the energy transformations that happen between the outside of the head and sending that message to the brain as an electrical impulse. So firstly, we have the sound wave. The sound wave is an acoustic wave traveling through the air. That sound wave hits the pinna, is focused by the pinna into the auditory canal, moves down the auditory canal and vibrates the tympanic membrane or eardrum. So that vibrating is now a mechanical or a kinetic wave. The ocelles then start to vibrate from that wave. First the malleus, then the incus, then the stapes. Then the stapes starts putting pressure on the oval window and transforms that from a mechanical wave into a fluid wave, which is also a type of mechanical wave, but it is a bit different. So we now have a fluid wave on the other side of the oval window in the cochlea. That fluid wave travels through the fluid in the cochlea and brushes against the organ of Corti. The organ of Corti then turns that fluid wave into an electrical wave or an electrical impulse and sends that electrical impulse via the auditory nerve to the brain. In this video, we've looked at the outer ear consisting of the pinna, auditory canal, and tympanic membrane, the middle ear consisting of the malleus, incus, and stapes, which form the ossicles, the eustachian tube that maintains pressure, and finishing up at the oval window. The inner ear goes from the oval window through the cochlea to the organ of Corti, as well as having the semicircular canals, which are important in balance. I've talked about the cochlea and the fluid waves in the cochlea, and that the higher frequency waves don't penetrate as far as the low frequency waves do. And we've also looked at the energy transformations going from an auditory wave in the air to a mechanical wave in the ocelles, a fluid mechanical wave in the cochlea, finally through the organ of Corti becoming an electrical impulse which is sent to the brain electrically.